this is one piece of advice that I feel like everybody should remember it by heart, especially for young first home owners, is that don't compare yourself to your peers.
True.
Yes, because all of us have friends who are rich.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Property in 20, brought to you by Ceekay Soh District. And today's topic is on what young home buyers must know. I think this topic is something that is always relevant because in any generation, there will always be young home buyers who are looking out to buy a home. And I think the only problem that we are facing now is like affordability, right? A lot of people are concerned about whether is it easy for someone young to buy a home right now. I think it's not, right? It's always getting more and more challenging. And that is why today we actually have on board one of our team members, and she is none other than Shannon, who will be sharing with us her thoughts on this. Hi, Shannon.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm Shannon.
Okay, Shannon is also happen to be, at the moment, the youngest member of our team. All right, so how does it feel being the youngest?
Everybody treat me like 小妹妹 lor. I receive a lot of help. Every time I ask someone for help, then they'll just immediately reply me lah. So that's good. I guess that's the perks of being young, right?
Yeah. So how young are you? Can you review?
I'm 24 this year. So born in 99.
1999.
Yes.
Okay. So now as a young so-called home buyer yourself, I mean, I know you have your own like BTO and all, but when it comes to your peers, do they find it difficult to own a home now?
Yes, definitely. I think this is always the main question and conversation I have with my friends. So, okay, a bit of backstory, right? I think you also know this, was that I actually balloted for my BTO in 2019. So back then I was only 20. So I had to ask my mom to come down and sign the papers with me because I was underage.
21, yes.
Yeah. And I just got married. So my husband is 5 years older than me, right? So back then, he's the main applicant. And then, so yeah, I just go there and sign with him lah, right? Then I think for us, we are very blessed because back then when we balloted, it was like, just try only. No harm, just try, see what happens. And then we balloted for this location, which I'm not going to say where. But and then we were very bummed because there were only like, I think 700 units available. But our ballot number was like 1,400 and something. So we were like, oh, very sian, like the soul leave your body, that kind of very sian feeling. So then after that, we tried to ballot for another project, but that one also like way past the number of units available. So we were like, wow, sian, like, okay lah, then never mind, wait for the next one, and then we try. Then coincidentally, our turn actually came for the first project that we balloted.
Oh, okay.
So meaning like we actually really prayed that like 700 people will drop out so that we can get a unit, right? Because I really like that location. Yeah, and then fortunately we were the second last Chinese couple to get a unit there.
The quota, right?
Yeah. So I really thank God because the last Chinese couple came the next day morning, right? Then everybody else behind had to go home.
Oh.
Yeah, so we were the last Chinese couple for that day. And second last in the entire like estate. So really thank God for that. So when I share this like with my friends who are also trying, they all want to try BTO first. So when they're all trying, then they're like, wow, how do you even get it? How do you even manage to get it? My number is not even like within the number available, or like they don't even give me a number because I'm so far back, that kind of thing. So and then I just say like, I think if you really know what you want, like which location you want in, or what kind of home that you're looking for, right? There's no harm in trying, especially if you are still young. Yeah, because back then, like I said, I was only 20. I still had a long runway and we didn't even expect to get that home back then. So it's really, there's no harm trying. If you know that you are certain about being with this partner, and you don't mind like trying, then just go for it. I've also heard of stories whereby the couple only knew each other for a couple of months. And then they were like, I just go and try BTO lah, right? Then they try, then they get They get double digit queue number.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, I mean, every relationship is different.
Yep.
So it's really up to you how you want to start your home journey. But I really do recommend starting early and then exploring your options slowly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I'm going slightly off track here, but I just want to ask, in your generation, is it really true that nowadays, right, the way to tie down a relationship is BTO? Less BTO.
I think some people cannot lah. Some people
cannot.
really cannot. Some people is you must propose to me first. Then we can get a BTO together. But then also people know that nowadays BTO takes like 5 years to build. So then the other option is sales of balance flat. Yeah, so that different couple works differently. But for my husband and I, we really like the location. That's why we try. I have friends who only want certain locations, and then so then they will really hunt for it.
Okay.
Yeah, so then that one really like you get a BTO already, that means it's like a proposal. Or you get the house already, then it's like a form of proposal already lah. So it really depends lor. I mean, I don't think everybody is like not I state my sorry, that's like before
Way
that
back,
already
my time,
lah.
that's my time. Sorry.
Like, propose with a BTO, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now I think for your peers around your age, right? So what is the major concern that they have?
I think like what you mentioned previously, I think affordability is really the main concern that everyone has. I think when my friends, okay, I'm just like not going to talk as like a property agent or whatever. Okay, I'm talking about like friends that I talked to before I even became an agent. When my friends ask me like, hey, how can you and your husband, okay, back then boyfriend, afford a BTO at like 20 and 25? Like you're still studying, you haven't even started working. How is it that you are able to afford it? Right. I think that's a very common question that a lot of young people have right now. For us, we back then, right, okay, because we are very blessed, right? We are second last Chinese couple, right? So our unit selection, we weren't very picky. We just chose what we really liked. And our unit cost less than $300,000.
Okay.
Yes, for a 4-room.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And right now, actually, there are still 4 rooms in like the BTO, like BTO provides that are below 300,000. So and then back then it was only like the 5% cash, right? So we only needed to come up with the 5%. And we used to work part-times, like individually, you know, like either as a side hustle or like during semester breaks and things like that. And then like that's where our savings came from. Because my husband is 5 years older than me, he also has some work experience and some savings in that aspect. So he was able to come up with that amount of funds for us to afford that BTO. And I know right now because like the LTV and everything like changed, the loan to value, you know, how much cash and CPF you have to provide upfront. But I think for BTO, it's actually still affordable if you choose the right unit. Yeah, don't go and like overstretch yourself. You want the sky, you want everything, you want the highest unit, the biggest floor area and everything. And then like total add up like 500,000 or 600,000. Then you're like, oh, I cannot afford that. I think for a first home, right, just everybody's first home is different. It's what you make out of that first home.
Yep,
you know,
true.
You can make a home it can be very expensive, but inside the furniture all like $10. Okay, not even $10, like $100.
$10.
Okay, then like there's no love between the couple because every day you fight over finances.
True.
Whereas you can have a home that is only like, let's say 300,000, like ours, right? But at the same time, we are able to go out on holidays. You know, we don't really like have to scream and save every day, eat grass. And then so that we can afford this home. And then at home, we can still have that kind of conversation about money like easily. You don't really have to think so far ahead. Yeah, so I think in terms of affordability, really know where you are, where you stand, and then from there look at the homes available for you. Yeah, we are not very picky people, which is why we were able to settle down on a specific unit so easily. Yeah.
I love what you said, because I think a lot of couples, when they buy homes, they forget about the later part whereby the money issues start coming in. Right? They only look at here and now, what unit we want to get, whatever. Because a lot of people just have this blind spot, right, when it comes to affordability and the comfort level.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really, really very good advice. So now, right, if let's say there is a couple, right, looking to buy their first home, how would you begin with, you know, like advising them?
Okay. For that, okay, depends how old they are also lah. Okay, if they are maybe like early 20s, you know, still studying, I would advise to go and try BTO first, definitely. Because it is affordable, yes. There is supply, yes. And I know that a lot of people complain about the balloting chances, but if you start young, there might be opportunity somewhere along the way for you to get it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think first of all, start BTO. I think this is very common among Singaporeans also. They start with BTO, then they look at sales of balance, right? Then I think not many people know, but sales of balance flat is actually more expensive than the BTO pricing.
Yep.
Yeah, that is something that I heard from friends that they didn't know about. And then after that, if you are really, very urgent already, like you really want to get married next year, but you need a house, then you can either look at sales of balance that are about to like TOP, or you can look at resale. Right. And then from there, if affordability isn't like, okay, example, your income doesn't fit into the income ceiling for BTO, right? And then you do have a bit more cash, you want to look at condos. That is also reasonable. But I think we're getting into pricier units, right? Homes, right? Like condos. That is something that, like what I said earlier, don't overstretch yourself.
Yep.
If you really cannot afford it, then don't afford it. I always tell like my friends this, because like friends, we gossip and everything, right? Like this is one piece of advice that I feel like everybody should remember it by heart, especially for young first home owners, is that don't compare yourself to your peers.
True.
Yes, because all of us have friends who are rich. Okay, who are able to afford a condo, a 1-2-bedroom condo at the age of 25.
Yep.
Okay, but you don't know. The thing is that after I joined the industry, then I realized like what it takes for them to own such a home. Okay, there are people out there who bought their home, borrowing money from family. And then I've heard of stories like they borrow money from family and then the family wants something in return after they get the keys to their house. So don't compare yourself with them. If you don't have the finances, I mean, I'm not saying you cannot borrow from your parents lah, okay? But if you don't feel comfortable, then it's okay. It's okay getting a BTO. It's okay getting a resale HDB. It's okay buying a more affordable home, because like what I said, a home is what you make of it. It's not about the unit itself, but if you both enjoy living together in that house and then you have enough space for your current family right now, then why not just go for it? Right. And then so it's really about the affordability, right? And then what your current needs are. So let's say you're just looking for a home just for the two of you. Right. So like what you said earlier, you only look at their current finances, right? And then some people, they only look at their current needs. So let's say they're only looking for a home for the two of them. So maybe they buy a 3-room resale flat, for example. Okay, and then they get married, and then they have pets or whatnot. And then suddenly along the way comes a kid.
Yep. And
then they're like, oh no, my home is too small for a kid. But back then, when they first purchased their home, okay, a lot of my friends also tell me this. I just want a home that I can just live there forever and ever and ever.
But in this generation, I don't think there's a forever home like.
Still have.
I mean, they want, but it doesn't mean that would be the case.
That's exactly the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just say, you sure or not? You sure you can live in this home? Then those super old HDB, no lift, that kind, then all stairs, like,
oh my God.
You sure you can or not? Live in a 3-room, that kind of home, right? Then next time you have kids, how? Then next time, then you want to sell next time, then like the lease left like very few years, then how? So like they never really think ahead.
Yep.
All they think about is right here, right now, I only want this. Which is very dangerous because you never know what will happen in the future. Like what if one kid comes out and then like the next year another kid comes out or something along the lines of that, and then you realize your home is too small, but at the same time you realize that the property market in that area, you can't really sell at the price that, okay, don't even say profit lah, okay, like break even, like the price that you bought, you want to sell at that price. Like you realize you cannot do that. Then after that, you are financially tied down again, and then you have to sell it off at a lower value and then fork out more cash to afford a bigger home. So yeah, that is something that I feel like young people also need to think about, like future planning, really.
Totally agree.
Yes. And then timeline. Timeline, not just about the baby lah, okay, but also like if you are looking at BTO, you're looking at HDB, you must know that you need to meet the 5-year MOP, right? The minimum occupation period. So you need to plan in a way whereby, okay, these 5 years, where do you see yourself in? Like with your partner. And then after the 5 years, what are your plans? Yeah, because there are people who like, okay, let's say these 5 years I won't have a kid. And then like suddenly one comes in and then like, oh no. Then after that they start planning for their future. You cannot like that lah. You need to really think ahead. In Singapore, right, I think everybody needs to have that kind of 安全感, like that kind of security, right? To feel like you're always in a place whereby you have more than enough. You cannot just live off like enough. I feel like in Singapore,
like just nice is just not enough.
Yes. Like you might think it's just enough for you, right? But then like, especially when I come like when I talk about comparison, once you see your friend like buy a bigger unit, right? Then you see like, actually my space quite small. Or you go to visit your friend's house. Yeah, so those are kind of the things that you have to consider before you buy your first home. Like what I said, start thinking young. Don't think like, don't only when your relationship, like he proposed to you, then you start thinking about it. I think this needs to be a conversation that you have with your partner early on. Don't push it back. Like, I think it's better to be straightforward about it and to tell your partner, okay, I'm looking at, in our future home, if you're really serious about the relationship, in our future home, I'm looking for this. I plan to have, kids is also a topic that you will also need to have, or even pets. Like, some people want 12 cats or like, something along the lines of that. So I think that's something that you really need to communicate with your partner about. And also looking at finances, the current job that you're in, the future job that you want to jump into, what is your finances going to be like in the long run? That is also something that you need to take into consideration. Yeah.
Totally. I think one thing that like I feel for is a lot of people, they don't think about how much does it cost to really raise like kids.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is where even if let's say the space is sufficient, okay, just now you mentioned about those who stay 3-room flat, then the space not enough. I think that's very common. But even if let's say they buy a 4-room, the space is enough. But the affordability is stretched because they went for a 4-room, but then bundled in with the kids, right? The cost is too high for them. It's very stressful for them. So I think this is the part that for a lot of young buyers out there, they must probably like consult more of their friends who are already parents.
Yes.
Like, hey, how much does it cost to raise a kid and so on. I think these are questions that people don't open their mouth and ask. I feel like maybe because they are shy or they think that this is very intrusive, this is very, private. But I think there's nothing private. If let's say you're really just asking, if I just want to know what to look out for as an upcoming parent.
Yeah.
So this is something I think if they can go and ask their friends, ask their peers, maybe this can help them to make a better, planning decision before they buy a house.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But okay, so just now we keep focusing on affordability. So now let's flip the question around. Assuming that affordability is not an issue at all, right? So got money one, okay. Then what should they go for? A BTO, EC, new launch, resale? What are the pros and cons?
Affordability not issue, no income ceiling, nothing.
Yeah.
You meet all the criteria for everything lah.
Okay, basically is whatever they have money to buy any of these options.
Okay. Personally for me, I would either go for a new launch or an executive condo.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think it's a fact in Singapore lah. Private developments in terms of capital appreciation is definitely there. More or less, you choose the right unit, is there. It's really depending on the market also. And there are a lot of factors to it, but most of the time it's there. Right. And in Singapore, majority of us, of course, like, you feel good, if you sell at home, you make a lot of profit, right? Then the article all come out like, wow, this unit, this project, this certain unit like earn this amount, like capital appreciation, that kind of thing. Right. So for me, why I would choose these two, I'm not like a money grab or whatever, but it's more of I have the option, I have the choice in the future. Like what we say, the future is uncertain, right? Just now we talked about it. That if I need more cash, I can still offload. And then I can still be able to use some of that cash for emergency funds or emergency needs, depending. Right? I think it's always good to have extra cash on hand, or in your property especially. for rainy days.
Yep.
I think that is very important lah.
Yep.
But of course, I'm just going to talk about each of the different kinds of housing that you talked about, right? For BTO and for sales of balance, I mean, the waiting time is longer. Like what we said, like right now, okay, sales of balance, it depends when you get it, but it can be up to like 5 years for it to build, right? And then you still need to meet the 5 years or 10 years MOP, right? So in terms of that, like you can add up to 15
10
years.
15 years.
Yeah. And then what if something happens within that 10 to 15 years and then you, I'm not saying that like confirm will happen, but then if I want to feel safer about it, right, then maybe that is a concern that some people might have, which is the long waiting time.
Yep.
But definitely the pro of that is that it's affordable lah.
Mm-hmm.
And when you sell into the resale market, right, the capital appreciation will still be there.
Yeah,
right?
it's just
Not
that
much.
the time with this money return, is it really worthwhile?
Yeah, so that is something that people like have to consider lah. I mean, if you really have a lot of money, like money is an issue, affordability isn't an issue, then okay, let's move on. For executive condo, I think it's very similar to BTO in the sense that yes, there's capital appreciation, and yes, it's also another like 10 years because you build and then you still got MOP also. So maybe not 10 years, maybe less than that.
Yeah, about maybe 8 years or so.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a similar concern, but and at the same time, the pros is that yes, you get to purchase a private property at a more affordable price. Right, yeah. And then for new launch, like what I mentioned earlier, the capital appreciation is there. And at the same time, you don't have to wait for the MOP. So normally, actually, technically, if people want to, you can buy then sell the next day. Technically. But most Singaporeans, they don't want to pay the seller stamp duty, right?
Yeah.
So they wait out the 3 years and then they sell it. Yeah. But for that, the cons is that it's definitely on the higher price. I mean, it's like investing, you put more money in, then like higher returns. Yeah, that kind of thing. So it really depends. Yeah. And then for resale, right, I know the current resale market for HDB in the like past few months a lot of people are complaining about how crazy the resale prices are. But the thing about the good thing about resale is that, and why people choose to buy resale is that if you're looking at a very specific location that doesn't have upcoming BTOs or like even condos, then resale option is always there for you lah. Yeah, if you want a very, very specific, I want to be opposite my mother's house, my dad's house, my grandma's house, then resale is definitely an option for you right there. I mean, yes, you have to meet whatever the price you pay is at a more premium price compared to a BTO for HDB, right? But you get that luxury of choosing pinpoint exactly where you want to stay in. Yeah.
True. So you have that choice there.
Which is something that a lot of my friends also like tell me like, I want BTO, but then it's nowhere, like certain estates in Singapore don't have BTO. Or like you need to wait super, super long for them to actually have a BTO. Then how? Yeah, so I think then resale is an option that is always there for you lor.
Yeah. But I think with that being said, right, like end of the day, people have to go in with eyes wide open. What are the pros and cons? Let's say if they go for a resale, and it depends on the demand. Not saying that resale doesn't make money, but certain resale over time will depreciate. Certain resale over time can appreciate. It depends on the demand, right? So I think before they buy, they also need to study whether it is really like worthwhile going into. I mean, not saying that I must make a lot of money, but I think most of the clients that we talk to, they always say, as long as I don't lose money. And I think that is correct, because that should be the baseline whereby, okay, are you buying something that eventually can at least hold its value? Yeah. So, however, there are still people who, like at a young age, maybe the first home that they buy is not like for stay. Yeah, some is that, okay, never mind, I'm still young, I have some leeway, right? So it could be that the first property they buy is a pure investment. Right? So in the sense of pure investment, then what would be your advice for friends who just want to take this as a stepping stone?
I think what I would advise, like how I advise my friends, right, and my clients is that if you have like, okay, affordability aside, right? If you have the finances, you can, most people, most agents, most friends will tell you like, go and buy a new launch condo, you know. Nowadays, like the new launch condo is so nice, then got like 1 2 bedder, then now, but I think besides new launch condos, there's a market that we talked about, of this, but we talked about is that the resale executive condos, that group of that market, right? That people often overlook.
Yeah.
Okay, the thing about yes, nowadays new launch condos 1 2 bedder, the 1.3, 1.5 million, then for you to get, right? But at the same time, if you look at executive condos who have already reached their MOP status, for the same price, you can get like a bigger size, right? I think
Yeah,
it's
a 3 bed.
3 bedder.
Yes.
Yeah. And the thing about these two like new launch condo is that you have to wait until TOP. Okay, it's either you wait until TOP, you rent it out, you sell, or after 3 years SSD, you sell, you flip it, right? For executive condo that already MOP, you can already rent it out like once you buy it over. And then you can help with your mortgage. Yeah, then if 3 years later you want to sell, then you sell. Or you can continue just renting and renting and renting. So the returns is already there. In a way, it already offload some of your financial strains.
Yep.
So I would tell them, you know, it really depends on what you're looking for.
Mm.
Okay. There are people who go in, buy with the mindset that, okay, I just want to invest. I just want to put my money somewhere.
Yep.
And then down the road, they realize that, hey, actually, I like the project so much, I want to stay inside. So it really depends on who the person is, what the client is looking for. Then you go and choose a location, a unit, a home for them that suits their requirements and their future needs. Like what we've talked about, right? Don't look at the now. You need to look at a few years down the road.
Correct.
Right? I mean, right now, if you're single, you want to buy an investment unit because that is like what you think is right, okay. Then what if, I'll ask them, then what if you get a partner next year? Then what if you get married end of the year next year? Then how? Then what are you going to do with the house? Huh?
That's true.
Right. Then like, especially now, you cannot like downgrade from a private to a HDB immediately, right?
Yeah.
You got to wait out. Then you buy a 1 bedder, then you know that you yourself, your stuff is already like overflowing already. 1 bedder is like just nice for you. Then you go ask your partner move in with you, like when your investment unit comes. Like, so those are some things that also depending on who the client is and what they are certain and sure of their future. Then from there, advise accordingly on what will be the most suitable unit for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
This reminds me, last time I used to have a case whereby the client, right, many years back before I became an agent, she bought a 1 bedder for investment. But before TOP, right, she wanted to get married and needed to buy a place to stay. Yeah, so then she sold that like 1 bedder unit, like barely break even. Yeah, so it's like your investment plan just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you just, like didn't factor in that these are life changes and so on. So I think your point is very valid because that is exactly what happened for my client. So now as homes become more and more expensive, right? The last question I have for you is that should the younger generation look into renting instead of jumping in straight to buy?
I think the more important question is, why are you renting?
Okay.
Right. Let's say the couple is planning to get married. The house isn't, no house yet. They haven't bought a home, but they know that they cannot live with their in-laws. Okay. And then like, example, their in-laws, like they have like some family strife or like they want a pet, but then the in-law is like, no, I'm allergic, cannot. So then they are looking at renting. Then okay, look at your finances, see whether you can find a rental unit that meets your requirements, meet your affordability and then like your needs and everything. Then okay, yeah, sure, go ahead. But if affordability is an issue for you, then I would say, why don't you start saving the money first? Because I think everybody knows nowadays rental prices can be quite crazy.
Yeah.
I think it also depends on what you want to rent. Normally like couples, they're so in love, like I still in the honeymoon stage. Then they want to like do baby making activities. They don't want to share the space with other people. They don't want to disrupt people, or like they are a very noisy couple. Then maybe like renting a room in a and living with an owner might not be the best choice for them, right? They need a space to call for themselves, to do whatever they want to do. So then that one, okay, go ahead. But if affordability is an issue, right, and you don't even have the finances to even afford a home in the near future, then I would say, why not you put those activities, you put those activities into the future first. Then you
go for staycation. Go for staycation.
Yeah. You save money first. You make sure that you have enough to afford a home. And then also for rainy days, if something happens. And then if you have access, right, then okay, go for it. Yeah, I think that is something that I advise my friends and the people around me, because okay lah, I mean, people my age, I'm still quite young, right? My husband is 5 years older than me, so he's like nearing his 30s. So renting is definitely a question that a lot of people ask. Like they want to rent and stay with their partner. But then they don't have the affordability, like they don't have the affordability. Then I ask them, then you want to keep renting for how long? Then when can you afford a home? You want to rent for 5 years? Then 5 years later, you can afford a home? Can or not? Then I will calculate out like the amount you spend on your rental, you times the 5 years, then how much money that is. And then I'll ask them, then do you think that this amount will help you in affording a home in the future?
Yep.
Yeah, because
Totally.
You cannot what we have been talking about. You cannot just look at the now, your current needs. You need to look at your future needs.
Yep.
Because definitely in Singapore, owning a home is better than renting long term, because of how much expenses that comes out of your money and your bank, right? And even nowadays, people are looking at buying instead of renting already, because when they calculate it out, it doesn't make sense for a lot of people.
I think that is one thing that I think is very true, because like even my own younger brother, right? Like he already want to move out. He's single, but he wants to move out. I think in our team, there are people who want to move out as well. We all know who. Okay. So end of the day, it is something that I feel like it's becoming a trend. Whereby people nowadays, they feel like, I want my own space. You know, I'm sick and tired of staying at home, or like I always quarrel with my parents, or I just feel like, it's yum, 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 I want my own private space and all.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, that was why I moved out also lah. But end of the day, I agree with you that affordability must come first. Like, don't make that commitment just because in the spur of the moment you feel like I cannot take this environment anymore. I mean, yes, for your own sanity, yes, you may want to have your own space. I think that is fair, but provided you can afford lah. Don't go for something that you can't. Right? Like in Chinese, we say like, if your head is not so big, then don't wear such a big hat. Right? So that is where I think like people have to be realistic about it.
Yes.
But with that being said, I think maybe for people who are a bit more financially like savvy, or maybe in terms of their running business. This is one thing that I learned, that is people who run business, right? To them, I ask them, actually, why are you renting? Because some they do rent properties like almost their whole life, or for a very long time they are.
Wow.
But they run businesses. So I asked them like, why don't you buy a property? They say, well, my business can make more money than any property. Then that makes sense. So I'm like, okay, that's a new school of thought. Like it's true lah. If every month you can make like maybe 100, 200k or more, your property maybe in a few years can only make like what, 200-300k.
Yeah.
Then okay lah. Then put the money in your business.
Yeah.
Then you can continue to rent. I think that is still fine, because to them, well, it is a small money. I think rental is still okay compared to whatever I can make from my business. Yeah. So different people will have different school of thought when it comes to rental. That I realized that, well, the end point ultimately is that it must make financial sense.
Yes.
As long as it makes sense, then no right, no wrong lah. As long as it makes sense to you, then that is your choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. But definitely for the younger generation who are not as, financially savvy, or they cannot afford, then I will agree that yes, bite the bullet, bear with it for a few years. Try to aim to save for your first home first lah.
I think that's more important lah. I mean, for a typical Singaporean who is looking at buying their first home, I think that is something that you really need to consider, especially with like everything inflating in Singapore. Okay, not even just Singapore, like around the world. You really need to start saving money. Like, don't want to I watch LA YouTubers, you know, they have their own nice studio apartment and then with a sofa couch or something. No, not sofa couch. Like those like cloud sofa or something. Then I want to make that very aesthetic, like live in a kind of aesthetic house. Then at the same time, like drive a very nice car and then like buy all the branded things in the world. Then it's like, you can dream but don't make it a reality first. Start saving the money first. And maybe one day you can.
It's about starting to make the money first.
Yeah.
I think this generation, what I realized is that maybe this is a very interesting time where it's not difficult to make money if you really think about it. Like, I mean, there are many different ways to make money. Like some they can just do it like being on social media, TikTok. They start selling stuff on TikTok and then they get passive income already.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a very new generation whereby there are so many alternatives to then just doing a normal full-time 9-to-5 job. All right. But I think that is also in itself dangerous because it gives people the illusion that, well, like money is not an issue. Until they really go in there and meet all the challenges, then they realize that actually it's not that simple after all. Yeah. So this generation, they have to be a little bit more, I would say, grounded. Yeah. Like we say, 脚踏实地, right? Yeah, I think that is one issue that I noticed that a lot of people in their 20s, they want to enjoy the life, but their income versus the life they want is not matching. Yeah. So
too big of a gap.
Correct. So I feel that maybe like, I mean, wow, 讲到好像 like I'm very old like that. but maybe the younger generation had to focus on improving your own skill sets and think you can ask yourself, if you want this life that you deserve, then what can you do to make sure that you get there in terms of income? Right, but a lot of people are like, nah, don't want, you know, like they're more about enjoying their life, YOLO, right? It's about like here and now.
Savings lah, just whatever I earn, then just like enjoy
I'm
life.
still young, I still have time.
Yeah,
but later on, then they realize, well, I'm 30 already.
Yeah.
And what have I achieved in the last 10 years? Nothing.
Yeah. Oh, the baby come.
Baby come, let's say stuck there.
Then gone already.
Exactly. So I think this is the real problem that young people are facing now. And unfortunately, sometimes when the elder generation or the older generation tell them, look, you gotta be a bit more realistic, they just take it like, you're just like, then one year in, 1 year out. But end of the day, actually, it's true. Like, I look back, I also wish that, why, if I had known all this earlier and better, I would have not wasted so much money on a lot of bodel stuff. Yeah. So I think this is a lesson that I learned the hard way last time when I was young. And I look back at like the younger generation now in their 20s, it's still the same issue and to a certain extent it's getting worse. Yeah, because nowadays it's increasingly on instant gratification. So that is where like people get impatient and all, and they just want to enjoy the time, partying, enjoying life, traveling. I mean, nothing wrong with doing this, provided you know that, okay, your income, everything, you have a pathway to make more and more money. But if not, right, if your pathway is currently a linear path, maybe a 9-to-5 job, very linear, then your expenses is only going up, but your income is linear. Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, lor. Yeah. Listen to Kaka.
Yes, listen to me. Lucky you say Kaka, not uncle.
Very nice.
Right. Okay, I think this is a very fun episode because like these are very real problems. Yeah. Very, I would say, realistic issues that the young generation must listen to. So hopefully, as you know, more of your friends listen to this podcast episode, they can be a bit more aware, like what to look out for. Yeah. So before we end off the show today, do we have like any last advice for young couples out there?
Plan early. I think one of the points that you mentioned earlier was on, like, I think it was on the resale aspect. Okay, basically what I mean by plan early is not just about your finances, but also about what you want in that home, the location, what you want versus what you need. I think that is a very, very big thing. Yes, there are a lot of people who say, I want this, I want that, I want to live near a very big shopping mall, I want to live near this, I want to live near that. But then what do you actually need? Then they realize that, because what you want, right, not a lot of homes can achieve, you know.
That's true.
But what you need, right, actually there are homes that can fit what you need. Yeah, so know that this is only your first home. It's not it might not be your forever home. It might not be the home that you live for the next 40 years. Yep. It's only the first home. You know, you never know what will happen in the future. So I feel like look at what you really need within the next few years, and then from there, look at what kind of homes fit that requirement. You know, what you want in a home can be achieved later on in life. It doesn't necessarily need to be in the first home that you purchase.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. Actually, one thing that I always feel for is that your first home is not the most important. Actually, the last home is the most important. The last one is where, number one, like, you know, it determines the rest of your life, like your retirement and whatever.
Yes.
And are you comfortable in the very last home? Right? And that along the way, how property have really helped you to generate the profits, the wealth, so that in your very last home, you know, you can stay in there like super comfortable.
And you can enjoy it.
Yes.
Yes. It meets all your needs and your requirements and your wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel that people need to be really forward looking. So I guess that is your main point as well, right?
Yes.
To plan ahead and be forward looking. Yeah. So I think this is where like hopefully more young people can understand this point. Yeah, it's really quite painful sometimes when I notice how some young generation, like, they are wasting their time and life away. I mean, I'm not their parents, so I cannot say anything. But just as a bystander, I just you know, like look at it, I'm like, okay, hopefully y'all can figure your way out and, you know, get your life on track.
Get the money back and then
because to me, it's never too late to enjoy your life.
Yeah.
Actually,
I think you can enjoy life in other ways also.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily you don't need to spend 5-figure to enjoy life. Just maybe 3-figure, 2-figure even. Enjoy your favorite bak kut teh in Malaysia.
I feel that, right? It is actually more fun, or rather, it's more, I would say, gratifying to enjoy life at a later stage in life. This is what I feel. I feel like when I was younger, maybe okay, like enjoy life and whatever. But the time that you really want to enjoy life is when you're really like just tired really. Like, you know, you have been working for so many years. You're tired, you just want a break. You just want to go and have a good time out there, go on a Europe trip 1 month, 2 months, you know, kind of thing. Especially when you're 30, 40s, you're kind of like jaded from working already. So the real enjoyment is that point of time whereby, okay, I really want to enjoy everything now. I really worked so hard for so many years. But just the years here and now, but later 30, 40s, right? They want to travel, they can't.
Yeah. If you think studying is hard, working is harder. So yeah, really enjoy life. You don't need to enjoy now in the future. Enjoy for a long period of time. Don't enjoy for like 3 years, 2 years. You need to enjoy forever. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel that is still true. People always say that, you know, like 苦尽甘来. I think, it is always just go through the tough days first. The sweet days will come later. But I think it's worthwhile that, you know, by then you have family, you have kids and everything. You would definitely want to have the time and space to enjoy. Yeah, don't waste it on your youth. That's what I feel. Don't waste it on your youth.
That's true.
Yeah. So today was very, very long episode, but this is one of the most like fun episodes, I think, so far. Like,
I really enjoyed it. I think it's a topic that I really feel for also.
Beautiful.
Since I'm also a very young first time.
So enjoy still being young. Right? Very happy that at least you already have your first home settled. So now it's just about like building for the next one.
Yeah. Very exciting. It's actually very exciting. Yeah. I mean, like what I said, my home only less than 300,000. Then people are like, huh? What kind of home is that? I'm like, why? You never know, you know? In the estate right now, like the resale market, you never know what happens in the future, especially with all the future transformations in the area, you know? You never know what is going to happen. Singapore is always improving itself.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think everybody, when the government first announced they're going to build like a lot of homes there, a lot of BTOs there, everybody's like, huh? Now where's like so ulu, never even hear the place before.
But now because got ECS suddenly like, okay, that's the place.
Everybody like, okay. No, if I'm not wrong, right, back then when BTO first came out, right, I think there were like a few 100 over units that people didn't like ballot for, you know. Yeah, like the balloting, like the supply of units versus the people who apply, right, is a very big gap. Then now that ACS moved there, right, then got a lot of like transformation there, right? Everybody's suddenly like, oh my gosh, you didn't get thing. How come? Like, why is my number not in the list? That kind of thing. Then I'm like, need to do research.
You can say so loud because you got it already.
But nothing. Why nothing?
Okay, so I think this is where like it's really, really enjoyable. Like I think for a lot of people, if they listen to this episode, I think that's really a lot to learn.
Mm.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Shannon. Thank you for today, like your insight. I think for your age, it is amazing how you really have thought all this through and like you can deliver all these things that you have mentioned. Yeah, it is not often that someone at your age can really like, think through it this way. Yeah, so well done, and good job. Thank you. Right, so I think now, of course, we have come to the end of this episode. Right, it is a pretty long episode, but I think you guys have enjoyed it, I'm sure. So I look forward to see you guys in the very next episode. See you around.